Hi, it's Toronto Mayor David Miller. I love Toronto Public Libraries. They're a fantastic resource for all of us. And I also have a book I love. It's called Minnow on the Say. It's by a woman named A. Philippa Pierce. And I love this book because it was given to me as a parting present from my teacher when we left England in 1967. And it's a book of these boys' magical adventures when a canoe appears in his backyard. And it's set in and around Cambridge, England, in the little villages that I grew up in. And I love it because even reading it as an adult, it makes me feel like a little boy living in a little farming village in England, which is where I came from. And it's special to me. And best of all, the book I love is in the library I love. Not just once, but there are 26 copies of Minnow on the Say in the Toronto Public Library, so you can read the book I love too. So I'm just going to read a little bit from Minnow on the Say, the book I love, from the very beginning. And I'm going to read the part, the book is about the adventures of this little boy David who lives in the country in East Anglia, outside a town called Castleford, which is based on Cambridge. I was a little boy, David, who lived in the countryside outside Cambridge. And the adventures start when a canoe comes and appears mysteriously in his backyard. I have to set it up because it appears at the landing stage. So this is how the landing stage was described. The landing stage was over grandly named, for nothing and nobody had ever landed there. It had been made by Mr. Moss, only so that he could more easily fill his watering can from the river. In the daytime, Mr. Moss drove a bus between Castleford and the Barleys. After his day's work, he liked to garden. So that's the landing stage. And by the way, that bus in real life would be Premier Travel 1A. That was the bus I used to take to go to school in Cambridge. So here is where the adventures start. The water was higher than he'd ever seen it. On the far side of the river, it had risen over the bank and moved along the grass blades of the meadow. On his side, it had covered part of the landing stage, and a trickle of water had crept under the gate into the garden itself. David felt wonderfully excited. He straddled the water on the garden path and went up to the gate for a better view. Becky had nearly caught up with him. "Your big boat, Davy, please." "Oh yes, Becky," he said impatiently. Then he saw what Becky was talking about. At the landing stage waited a real boat, a canoe at least 10 feet long. It was not made fast anywhere, but the current kept it a prisoner in the angle between the submerged landing stage and the riverbank. Its nose bobbed every now and then against one of the posts of the landing stage. It reminded David of a dog that wants to be taken out for a walk. The canoe was quite empty. So that's where the adventures start. If you want to find out about David's great adventures in East Anglia in England, you got to read more. Minnow on the Say, 26 copies, available, Toronto Public Library.